I think if we cannot produce good research if we cannot make good data analysis and data conclusion. So I think it doesn't take long. With a big honor, this is Dr. Fadila. It's your time. Thank you.
Inshallah, thank you so much, the moderator, for today. Let me share how to share. Right, share screen. All right, so that everyone can see my slide.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Let me set first. All right. So, Mr. Freddy,
Yeah.
I just want to know that the given time to me is
maybe
around
25 minutes, maybe, Dr. Fadila.
I will make it short, simple, and I think comprehensive. All right. So
Okay,
thank you to Mr. Freddy. The explanation about myself, my biography. All right. For in the second session, we do have. I'm the seventh. This is saya yang ketujuh, right? So I'm not participate in the morning session because due to my commitments, I do have one speaking also, speaker note also at the AADK is what we call here anti-dada drug, which is with the belia. So now when I saw the presentation, commit with the Tazarol and Dr. Siti Sarah is quite interesting. They have a lot of things that I pun belajar. So I'm still learning. So here I would like to share my title. When I saw the Sarah and saw the Zarol, I will make my I readjust my topic, which is I do have 35 slides actually, but due to time maybe, but also that I would like to have a more communication with the participant. Now we have around 170 participants. I hope that you can stay and tune with me. And we have this is my, I think before the ending our program today. So I readjust my topic, my slide with the writing up tips, which is more on the how giving the tips in terms of how you're going to conduct your data analysis, result and conclusion. All right. Before I start, I will make my presentation in Dwi Bahasa to make sure that everyone is because my slide is in English, and I will make my presentation in Dwi Bahasa with Bahasa Melayu to make sure that everyone is comfortable and do not put yourself dalam stress. Let be comfortable, relax. I think you can grab your coffee or you can your snack untuk you sambil dengar sambil makan, and I'll be okay with that. Alright. So given time with me until 4:20, I think around that, and then we have 10 minutes for Q&A session. So without further ado, I would like to share my second slide, which is I would like to highlight in terms of in this session I would like to highlight in terms of data analysis and result, but my discussion based on my experience as a lecturer and experience as a supervisor and also experience as a student. Let me it simple, like which is this is the sharing session. I'm not the really expert in this field, but in this session is more on the sharing session that I acknowledge everyone have a expertise. You have a banyak pengalaman, banyak knowledge yang I think we have a difference the of what we call school of method. It's not wrong, but I think maybe because of the point of view and based on the background of education, they have a different school of method. So let's enrich our knowledge today by sharing, and I hope that we have a lot of time to have more Q&A session other than I give the topic, the content. I love to have more conversation with the participant. All right. I'd like to highlight here. Look into my supervision. Look into my supervision. I'm not proud with this. This is banyak komitmen yang perlu dicurahkan kepada my student, especially for my undergraduate student. I do have around 50 plus student. Alhamdulillah dah completed, and I do have now yang currently yang masih aktif. But take a look on my postgraduate student. Yes, I do have co-SB also with me, help me, because sometimes we have a different expertise. Alhamdulillah, there are numbers yang dah bergraduasi, and still on me, ada yang masih ongoing. I do have only one master student. I hope that one of you, student from Pakuan, can join us, continue with UTHM, doing for postgraduate. So my topic, I will give some sharing session based on my experience on supervision my PhD student. My PhD student, most of course on the quantitative, not qualitative, at Dr. Sarah and Dr. Zarul. I'm not expert on that field. And also my student is from the local and international, mostly international student. All right. So our discussion based on sharing session, based on my experience, and as a panel, as a lecturer, and I hope that we can somehow have a lot of discussion after this. All right. So I'm also will share with my experience during my study lah kan. Saya baru je lah baru join UTHM as mentioned by moderator 6 tahun. In 2015 baru saya habis my PhD. I'm struggle a lot of my PhD because I complete my PhD 4 years. Most of my friends habis here my speaker also yang speaker hari ini they finish their PhD. Alhamdulillah GOT, graduate on time 3 years. But me, I'm struggle in terms of data collection. Alright, I will share with you.
Farina, excuse me.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you show your slide? Make it bigger.
Is it okay? Is it clear?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Alright. So this is my which is the previous one. I touched on my supervision, numbers of my supervision student. So let me move. Kita move kepada next slide. Alright. As I mentioned, which is I have difficult time. Spend 4 years, actually 1 year for data collection. Alright, this is my mistake. I'm consider my mistake. So I hope that here semua student tak repeat my mistake. Alright, so I let me share what is my mistake during my data analysis. Alright, so if you see in my slide, I touch on the principle of data analysis. Okay, the first point is I like to highlight is in terms of the goal of analysis. So you can read, you boleh baca, you boleh nampak, which is one is related to research with real world event. So hari ni kita bercerita tentang apa? Satu dunia kena COVID-19. So everyone pick the COVID-19 punya issue as a main issue. So either valid or tak valid. Based on the data analysis, how you collect the data. Sooner or later, you akan dapat tengok adakah data incomplete ataupun tidak nanti. So, everyone touch on that. This is the goal of analysis. So, you need to really make sure that your topic, your objective relate with your data analysis. Why I say like that? Because sometimes we just create the objective based on the problem statement. When situation change, berubah, dia akan berubah in terms of the way you analyze because the data is not valid. Right? So the second is to predict or forecast the real world phenomena based on the research. Okay, you forecast what happens based on your data analysis, based on your calculation, you not predict what happens next. Without data analysis, you tak boleh predict, you tak boleh forecast. That's why hypothesis is important, relate to your analysis also. And then the third one is finding analysis to a particular problem. So yes, of course, you have a good objective, you have a good research question, but again, to analysis, you make sure that because when you develop your research question, the one of the criteria to make sure that good research objective is it can be measured. So you can find the answer bila you buat analisis. So kalau you buat objektif tapi you tak tahu bagaimana nak analisis, the right tool to guna for what analysis, right? And then the fourth one is about the explain the cause and effect of of course, when you run the analysis, sometimes they give you contradict result based on the previous research, also based on the yang from your LR literature metric, they have a contradict result. And when it come to you, they have a different also result. But it's a good. Don't worry what different result. It's a good sign. Alright. It's a good to enrich your punya data, enrich your punya result for the future, because you have a different scope, different area, different angles. So don't worry about the different result that you dapat. Making conclusion about the event, of course. In Malaysia, we have a lot of issue. We have a lot of problem that student berminat untuk. For example, kalau kita lihat pandemic 19, kita ada bencana alam seperti MJ, also kita ada tanah runtuh, and we have a political issue and the leadership, about the women, about the discrimination. That issue is good topic to analyze, but the most important ada data atau tidak data. How to measure that issue? How to answer the research question according to data analysis that you have. Learning a lesson from the problem. Of course, you from the data, then you at the end you realize that it's quite difficult to measure. So be careful when doing a good research objective. You need to make sure that valid result, valid data, sumber ada, statistik ada, and isu semasa yang berlaku pada tahun 2000, 5 years back or so on. Alright, so I move to next slide. Alright, normally people use 4 wife, 1 husband, so I now saya tetapkan 3. One is about the data. Of course, data, the information, the most important, because data tak boleh cakap. Data you just say, you explain, there's nothing, tak ada apa-apa pun. So important is about when data analysis is about where you get the data, the information, adakah valid, adakah terkini, the latest one. Normally student use my student when they give the punya thesis project, when they use backdated, for example, kalau saya akan bagi 10 years back lah kan. So bila saya nampak yang old citation, saya akan ask tak ada apa-apa ke. And then when saya nampak data tu kalau 2000 until 2021, and then ada tahun yang tak ada, asking my student, kenapa tahun ni tak ada research ke about this, and what happens to along this year, apa yang berlaku. So data information is most important. How you collect your data, explained by Dr. Sarah and Dr. Zarul. In the qualitative, they have methods, they have the procedure how you analyze the data. When you get the data, as I think one candidate asked about the triangulation. This is my mistake, as I mentioned before and earlier. Because I'm using triangulation. My data collection is mixed method, and mixed method we have qualitative and quantitative. And also I have a single layer of the method, which is I to have a triangulation with a different subject. Triangulation with a different subject. Triangulation 1 is data, triangulation 2 is the different subject, different respondent. So I perkayakan sumber tu dengan orang yang berbeza, perkayakan sumber tu dengan data yang tidak sama daripada buku, daripada observation, dari interview. So I spent 1 year for that. Alright. So but I learned, and I think the most important is how you manage your time. The strategy must be aligned with your time frames when you complete your PhD or master, right? And then scientific, visible, and ignorance. Why? Of course, you will start with why. Why is important, and then come with the how, whens, what. That's this argument that I keep asking my student why you do this, why this statement like this, why you code like this, and so on. So the argument is good, the question for your supervisor is good. Why you do this? Why you do that? Why not this? Why not? I think it's good to enrich your data, right? And what is your finding is most important in data analysis because it's represent for your research question to answer your research objective also. Lesson is a conclusion is based on how we going to improve from the data. You boleh dapat banyak lagi information from data. You can run a lot of analysis if you expert dalam kualitatif. Actually, my slide is not technical. Before this, I do have slide tentang how you going to run the analysis by quantitative, but I think I going to take masa yang panjang to explain to use SPSS, why comparison to Smart PLS. So I decide to change due to time. Alright, so I move to next slide is about the basic guidance guide to data analysis. I think the most important breakdown into the research objective and research question is most important. Dia relate. Kalau you nak analysis ni, you akan tengok balik your punya research question, research objective, and also the hypothesis. So how the hypothesis sebenarnya aligns with research question, objective, and analysis, and also with your problem statement. Alright, and the second point on the how you're going to analyze your data is identify the phenomena to be investigated. Apa yang you nak buat ni sebenarnya. Some student kadang-kadang dia tak jawab pun based on objective, because when you are not clear with your problem statement, you akan buat research objective, research question yang salah. At the end, you akan analysis based on not based on the objective, but based on apa yang you ada, based on adopt or adapt research question. Adopt and adapt from the instrument from previous research. So be careful with that. Make sure that you align with chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 4, which is data analysis, and chapter 5 of your conclusion. Visualize the expectation answer. Of course, you have the hypothesis, and then you can mirror what next will happen. Validate the answer with the data. Of course, if you have a good instruments, good tools and method, you can validate your data. Alright, how to validate the data? Maybe you can cross-check with the data yang you ada. You play around with how to analyze, and also look into the statistic, data-data yang lain dan sebagainya. Don't tell something that is not support by data lah. So of course, student need to explain based on the citation, support from the data, support from the previous research, and so on. Next is when you analyze your data, the objective, accurate and true. Of course, you tak boleh menipu data. Me, when student come to me and under my supervision, I always ask where is your data. If you tak ada tunjuk saya data, you come with the chapter 4, I need to have the data. You give me raw data. I would like to analyze also your punya data. Alright? This is the thing because nowadays we have a lot of tool. So lecturer ni kena bagus jugalah expert untuk tahu tools yang ada sekarang. So now kita ada Smart PLS, kita ada SPSS. I think everyone now move to Smart PLS. I think that is a very good punya tools. Dia bagi satu analisis yang sangat baik. The way they present the data, you tak perlu buat table, you tak perlu buat graph, because they have the original frames that dia punya diagram that you can copy and so on. When the presentation is quite excellent for me when you present your data dengan you punya diagram. So separate the fact and opinion, which is fact is something that you can prove lah, buktikan based on the previous data semasa, and based on analisis yang dibuat oleh you buat the data analysis ataupun the previous. You tak boleh change the fact lah. Of course, you tak boleh change the fact, but you can give pandangan. Why is it different from your punya? But why is different dengan previous research compared to use? Okay, perubahan tersebut mungkin disebabkan oleh research scope you yang berbeza, tools yang you gunakan, maybe instrument yang you gunakan, the way you analyze the data is totally different. Okay, time frame also different. Maybe culture, country also will reflect the result that yang you dapat. Okay. Avoid that misinterpretation lah. avoid with the data with misinterpretation, meaning which that, for example, in the education sector, majority is women. It's not because of female tak berminat. There must be a reason what is the meaning behind that numbers, why the statistic is like this. So you need to explain in academic way. You tak boleh explain just tulis saja without nothing, without tak ada makna. So as an academician, dalam dunia akademik, you as a researcher, you need to acknowledge some points tu, you kena ilmiahkan, kena maknakan dia, right? And of course, as I mentioned earlier, which is different school of method, they have 5 chapter or 6 chapter. Here in my left side, which is I already mentioned, the introduction section, you need to have and methodology, result, and discussion. So when it goes to the discussion, result is more on the how you're going to analyze the data. So you need to describe, interpret the data based on what is the meaning behind the value. So apa makna di sebalik standard deviation, this mean, ataupun you R square and so on. What is the meaning? I can read, reader can read, but I think when you present, you need to present in 2 way lah. Satu rajah, another explanation. So explanation, you need to very careful because some reader ni, they have a different background. So the way you explain, the way you tulis, the way you describe everything, you need to make sure that everyone, lay people, orang biasa pun boleh faham. Alright? So data need to support, yes. In your one, you listed I'm not sure in Papua University, the formats of your thesis, the outline of your thesis. But I think in chapter 1, we already list our hypothesis, and also in chapter 2, more discussion on how to develop your hypothesis. So analysis is also based on the objective and go to your hypothesis. And again, you need to communicate. Communicate in which you need to explain, you need to describe your data, you need to elaborate, and in a sharp way, in academic way, then you need to support with previous research, right? Okay, this is how you're going to present your data. As I mentioned, if you use SPSS, normally they're using table, graph, and so on, right? So kalau you gunakan small PLS, this sangat menarik because you just can copy and you can paste dalam you punya thesis, you punya writing, you punya report. But I think the way you present the data also dia akan embark how people say, how people read, apa yang orang nampak, trigger first dan sebagainya, dia juga mempengaruhi cara gaya penulisan and panel bila membaca. So arrange data in logical numbers, in tables, ataupun kalau you buat graph, you susun graph dengan susunan yang menaik dan kemudian menurun. And also cross check the reference, the figure, tables, and you gunakan, of course you can acknowledge and give proper credit kepada siapa yang you quote data tersebut, dan of course this is based on the reference lah. And also still analyze, appropriate should be described lah. Of course you kena describe, you tak boleh just letak table without describe. Alright, as mentioned earlier, data tak boleh bersuara lah, kan? Data tak boleh bersuara. So when people see the data, they'll mostly jump into the conclusion without read. So as a researcher, you need to explain carefully, right? Because tak nak ada misinterpretation. When kita see data tu salah, contradict with your explanation, is need to be careful also. Okay, this is apa yang I think need to be highlight. The same data present in figure ataupun table. So if you have data you like to present, you need to choose either to present in table or graph, either one. Alright. Some data is good to present in such way of graph, dari graph bar, catapai, and so on. Some is good when it comes to numbers, more on the table. Data presented in the table are simplified without describe and trend, making comparison, highlighting. So you kena tengok bila you nak present data, when you analyze, you kena tengok kesesuaian which sesuai untuk graph bar, graph line, or chart pie. Alright, so unusual trend in data is, biasanya orang akan ignore lah, tidak highlightkan data-data yang menunjukkan trend 2020 sampai 2020. Trend data normally orang bukan fail lah, dia elak untuk explain perkara-perkara tersebut. Maybe because of some statistics is quite difficult to get, some you can beli. Some of my student, I think, dia banyak beli data, terutama data SME, because data tu kena dijual lah, because I think orang nak dapat data pun is quite difficult. Alright, so of course, when you interpret your data, you need to support with evidence, the information from the previous. Alright, so of course you need to have, for me, strictly ask my student, know my supervision 10 years back or 5 years back. That is how I think you need to take it as wiser. I think it's good to have the latest updated reference, okay? So, and this is my point is about the conclusions. Is I think you can read from here what is the strongest and the most important statement that you can make from your observation, right? So, conclusion, I think this part is the most important because this part is to elaborate everything. The end of your data analysis, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and chapter 4. Conclusion is everything. So sometimes panel baca to see your contribution, to see what is the impactful of your thesis, to see what is the impact, to see what is the connection, how from your study to predict next future punya research apa yang akan dibuat lagi, apa yang diperkayakan lagi. Alright, refer back to the problem. Yes, of course, kita akan tengok balik your problem statement and your conclusion is aligned or tak aligned. So the most important class, panel we will see in terms of that. Summarize the observation, new interpretation. Yes, of course, you akan cakap apa next, what next. So you akan introduce sesuatu yang baru, you akan introduce sesuatu yang luar biasa, yang sebelum ini tidak di-touch ataupun dan sebagainya, right? And contribution, of course, to the body of knowledge. As a researcher, as a student, we love to look into what is the contribution to the body of knowledge, and also the practical contribution. And such as any interesting further, apa yang akan dilanjutkan lagi, apa yang akan dikaji, penerokaan apa yang akan dibuat dan sebagainya, based on your research. So, I think student, I think you need to very be careful with apa yang you nak propose lah kan. Sometimes student when I see when they propose, so kenapa you tak buat? You propose ke orang buat, and then kenapa you tak buat? So there must be a reason why. So it goes kepada, I think, the limitation from your study, you have your limitation, right? This is how you're going to wake up lah if your supervisor tanya. So because of the limitation, you come up with the apa further next you akan buat untuk your punya reader lah ataupun pembaca lain, apa you punya cadangan. And also when you do your punya article, of course you akan recommend sesuatu yang baru dan sebagainya, right?
So, excuse me.
Yes,
we have 4 minutes.
Yes, all right. Thank you so much. All right. So, in which your work could be improved. Okay, apa yang perlu dibaiki lah kan. So, of course, you akan nyatakan dekat recommendation, limitation, the implication. All right. So, last practical, yes, implication of your research of your works. So, this is, I think, my second last, I think, in my slide. I like to touch in terms of perkara yang perlu avoid lah in conclusion. Of course, conclusion tak perlu ada citation, and when ayat-ayat yang tulis as I prove during my study, my supervisor cakap, you siapa? Kamu siapa nak tulis I. Alright, based on my study. Okay, based on my study. When you put mine is a contribution from your SB, contribution from your panel, rather than you use I, alright? Then wording, keyword wording is also important. Yang ni yang sangat menarik when you use in fact, obviously, clearly, steady, in conclusion. So wording pun memainkan perkataan-perkataan yang penting when you make your punya conclusion. Alright, so this is the difference between chapter 4 and chapter 5. I hope that chapter 4 is more on the research and more on the how you analyze, but some outline result and discussion in the same chapter. Others maybe different, separate, right? So discussion is more on interpret your data. You need to support, you need to have the citation, you need something yang akan membuktikan, right? And then compare the result from other previous research, discuss the limitation on your discussion part, highlight the unexpected result yang tidak dijangka. Okay, and conclusion, you state your hypothesis, maybe contradict, maybe same or similar with other previous research, and then state the most important finding. Kadang-kadang kan, saya with my student, kadang-kadang kita reverse balik. Reverse because kita jumpa ada satu data yang menarik. So reverse meaning which that we change some research question and research objective. This is how technical you punya reverse engineer lah dalam you punya thesis. I sure that most of lecturer pun akan face with that because kita jumpa suatu data yang lebih menarik. But the thing you need to support with citation lah, berlaku atau tidak dan sebagainya. Highlight the limitation and overall the significance of the study and state your future direction kepada researcher yang akan datang. So dia akan memberi manfaat. Alright, I think that is my end of my slide. So I would like to have a good collaboration with Pakistan University, student over there that I already stated here. You can snap maybe my contact number and my phones. My email, anything relate to quantitative study, you can ask me, or anything relate to my expertise in terms of my field. I'm on, as moderator say, dalam HRM and also industrial relation. Industrial relation in context of Malaysia lah, I think dia adalah berkenaan akta perburuhan, labor law. So I think it's quite difficult with Indonesian, but in the context of trade unions, I think we can discuss in terms of that, and also in good governance. So I think I would like to end my slideshow.
Thank you, Dr. Fadila.
Yes.
Wow, that's just comprehensive slides, comprehensive presentation. It's a great presentation, I think. So, the audience, I think Dr. Fadila, one of expert in data analysis, yeah, expert in data analysis and conclusion maybe. So, you guys can make a question to Dr. Fadila about anything about data analysis and conclusion. So, any question to Dr. Fadila from the audience maybe? Audience boleh bertanya in English or use Malindo English juga boleh?
Yeah, sure. Sure, inshallah.
Oh, Sirio, Mr. Sirio. Mr. Sirio, go on.
Yes, Pak. Good. Selamat sore from Indonesia, yeah. So, good afternoon to other participants who are elsewhere. Can you get me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, loud and clear.
So, thank you very much, Dr. Ismail, for the presentation. Actually, a good presentation to some of us that are getting into research field. So, those, I want to find out from you, normally when you are doing abstract, when you are writing the abstract, at times there are some abstract where everything that is found in the conclusion is also found in the abstract. Mm-hmm. So my question is, which is the best model? Which is the best way to write an abstract? Is it necessary to take everything from conclusion and dump into abstract, or you have another nice way of doing it? I just want to know.
Right. Okay. It's a good question. It's a good question. It's about the abstract. I hope. I thought in data analysis or so on. But of course, when we write your punya thesis, your punya project, first reader ataupun panel akan baca your abstract. What is your abstract? Because it represent the whole of your thesis. Alright. So when you ask the best, how you write the abstract, I think I jump into your most important. Of course, you need to have the introductions, and then you need to highlight also your problem statement, a little bit of your problem statement, the main problem, and also go to your punya objective or aim of study, and then goes to your methodology, and the last one is your result. And then the last one is the conclusion, or more or less is the implication. So if you ask me, I think the way we write the abstract is most important. Not overall conclusion, you need to put in your abstract, because I think abstract, I think not less than 100 plus patah perkataan, bukan 2 page of your abstract. Abstract, I think you need to compress and inclusive on your writing. So basically, it based on the outline in terms of, like I say, is your introductions, your main problem statements, and then go to your research question or aim of your study, and then you come up with your methodology, your punya result, and the end your implication of your study. Not overall of your conclusion. I think it based on the implication is more reflect on your objective number, the last objective. It represent your topic, your title. That is the most important. Alright, I hope that I answer your question. If you need more clarification, do to contact me. Inshallah, I will explain furthermore and share with you the template of abstract yang saya ada.
Okay. Thank you very much. When it comes to you are working on analysis, yes, most at times when we do research, it's like we want the same result that others have found. Yes, it's most at times we have that tendency. Somebody have published a particular result, so you are struggling for maybe to present something like that. So I want to find out from you, when we normally when we collect data, we do analysis, we normally have some abnormalities. So based on your experience, what advice will you give us as young scientists that are getting into the field? Is it important to give the abnormalities first, or is it important to give maybe a result that looks general or that ties with research from another part of the world, then before bringing abnormalities?
All right, okay. Thank you so much for that question. All right, okay. This is what happened to my student. All right, when he comes, the student and contact with me, data, I do have a problem. Okay, so what is your problem? My data is different with previous study. So I think so. What? So why? So what? What is the problem? Because of the data, or because of what? Because you fail to analyze, or what? So no. I follow the procedure, how to analyze the data, but at the end my data is totally different or contradict with previous research. Alright. So back to your question, I think normal to have a difference. Right? Normal to have a different result. It based on because why? In chapter 1 we already write down the what we call research scope. The research scope, right? In chapter 1, I'm not sure, but I'm not sure, but I think most of student akan ada their project have a research scope. You tend to have a different research scope with others. Kita takkan ada sama research scope. With individuals totally different. For example, you buat dekat Indonesia and Malaysia. Of course, you ada dapat maybe similar, but I think it's totally different. Okay, don't worry about the different data yang berbeza, ataupun result yang berbeza. because you have a different culture, different demography, and the way how you analyze. Maybe the tools also give the implication to the result, but a zero, I think 0.5, they will affect the data. But I think the influence based on the data difference is influence in terms of the factor of demography, is culture totally different. In the perspective kalau contoh banjir berlaku, from the banjir at Malaysia is same at Indonesian, but I think the result is totally different. Lagi kalau when you come to objective in terms of perceptions, the implication is totally different. So same goes to Malaysia. If you have a different respondent, they have a different result. So don't worry about the data yang berbeza. Maybe because of the item is different, maybe the instruments is different. Dan sebenarnya you contribute a lot of if you have a different result with others. But the justification is most important. Why is different from others? That's why the most important before you run your thesis, you need to have a systematic literature review to see the similarity, methodology, to see the what is the tool, the analysis being done with previous research, and you make a conclusion. And of course, again, when you conclusion also, justification in terms of research scope, you need to touch also. So I hope that I answer your question. Again, if you need more explanation, you can contact with me. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cyril. Thank you, Dr. Fadila. Mr. Cyril, that's the heavy question. But I said before, Dr. Fadila is an expert. So she can answer your question till you're satisfied, of course. Okay. We have a time limit of our time. So I think this is the last of our session. This is the end of our session. So I want to say thank you so much to Dr. Fadila for your great presentation, for great comprehensive presentation. So salam hormat buat semua teman-teman di UTHM, salam hormat buat Dekan Fakultas Ekonomi juga Pak Hendro, salam hormat buat teman-teman dosen ekonomi, Fakultas Pakuan, dan para audien. So I will give it back to this session to Bu Dani. Thank you so much, Dani. This is your turn. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Sebenarnya ada satu lagi pertanyaan ini terakhir Pak Freddy di kolom chat dari Anda Hidayat Pak Freddy.
Do you mind, Dr. Fadila, to answer this question?
First,
Okay.
Saya ingin bertanya, saya ingin bertanya yang berkaitan dengan data analisis, result conclusion dalam penelitian kualitatif. Langkah ketiga dalam analisis adalah penarikan kesimpulan, verification yang mana dahulu yang dilakukan. Adakah boleh dilakukan hanya satu?
Which one to do first?
The verification or the penarikan kesimpulan data.
Dua.
Yeah.
Kalau kita bikin verifikasi dulu.
Verification. Sorry. All right. Okay. I hope that I'm not confused with the wording, the question here. I think the verification. I think what you okay, when you're doing your conclusion, you need to give the verification first. Alright, you need to give a verification first, and verification in terms of why it happens like this, when it happens like this, how it happens like this, and then you make your conclusion, because your conclusion is your own word. Alright, it comes from you, dari kamu. As a writer, as a researcher, it comes from you. So you need to verify first according to the data that yang you dapat chapter 4, and then at the end you conclude in your own word. I think that is the best way, rather than you make a conclusion, rather than you make a verification. Because in conclusion, you tak perlu lagi cite any other researcher, but it based on the data you get from chapter 4. right? Analisis yang you buat. So conclusion, I think the comprehensive meeting overview from researcher, because you yang buat, you tahu bahawa the environments, the situation, what will happens dalam you punya analisis. I think I do hope that I answer your question to make a verification first and then make your own work by your conclusion. Alright, so we acknowledge the data yang ada and then baru kita buat ni conclusion. So I hope that I answer your question. Again, if you have need a further clarification, you can contact me, insyaAllah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Fadilah. Thank you, Mrs. Nanda. I hopefully you are satisfied with Dr. Fadilah answer. So, saya kembalikan kepada Ibu Dani. One more time, thank you, Dr. Fadilah. Thank you so much. So, Bu Dani, saya kembalikan pada Ibu. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih banyak Pak Fedi. Ini permintaan terakhir dari Miss Nanda meminta materi untuk di-share di kolom chat ini. Dr. Fadilah bisa di-share materinya. Oke, terima kasih banyak. Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Seluruh rangkaian acara dari kegiatan research, metodologi, and approach ESMA 2021 yang bisa dikatakan ini sebagai pembuka awal kerjasama antara UTHM dengan UNPAD akan terus berlangsung. Selesai sudah di sore hari ini, alhamdulillah dengan kerjasama yang baik antara pengacara dan kami moderator dari unsur hardware. Di sini masih banyak teman-teman kami yang masih bergabung dalam penutupan acara hari ini. Saya memang sebagai pengganti yang tadi kita bersama, tapi karena beliau ada berhalangan, jadi saya menggantikan sebagai MC-nya. Nah, di sisi ini juga ada pemberian giveaway atau giveaway pada presentasi sesi kedua ini. Di sini kami sudah menentukan yang akan mendapatkan giveaway itu adalah yang pertama dari Mr. Cyril Nijma. Kemudian dari Pak Prasetyo Hendiar.
Terima kasih.
Dari Miss Hidayati, ini saya melihat dari tadi sesi pertama, Mbak Nanda ini banyak sekali aktif bertanya, ya. Baik. Mungkin nanti bisa menghubungi nomornya Mas Eka, tolong di-share di chatting. Di sini menghubungi nomor 0877 021 7615 untuk kali pemberian giveaway. Tolong Mas Eka di-share di grup ya Mas Eka ya, nomor HP-nya untuk bisa menghubungi teman-teman. Hadirin sekalian yang berbahagia, yang terhormati, demikian seluruh rangkaian acara sore hari ini. Untuk closing session, Dr. Fauziah bagaimana mau menyampaikan sesuatu yang ingin disampaikan sebelum closing ininya, Dr. Fauziah?
Okey Bu, saya mewakili daripada Profesor Madia Dr. Amran, Associate Professor Dr. Amran, yang sepatutnya dia buat closing tapi kerana dia ada emergency. So mewakili daripada Institut Transformasi Sosial dan Pembangunan Wilayah dan juga rakan-rakan yang lain yang sebagai speaker tadi, Dr. Fadilah, Dr. Zaro, Dr. Syahidah, Dr. Sarah. Okey, saya mengucapkan berbanyak-banyak dan beribuan terima kasih kepada Pakuan University, especially Fakulti Ekonomi dan Bisnes kerana
Bu Fauziah.
Sharing knowledge bukan satu permulaan yang sangat baik untuk kita bagi resma pada akan datang, dan kami amat mengharap apa yang kami sharing ini akan memberi manfaat kepada semua peserta dan juga tetamu-tetamu yang hadir pada hari ini. Jadi memang mohon maaf banyak terkasar bahasa, kemudian ada perkara-perkara yang tidak menyenangkan kepada pihak Pakuan Universiti. Mohon maaf daripada saya mewakili kawan-kawan yang lain, dan itu saja Ibu.
Dani.
Moderator, saya serahkan kembali kepada Ibu. Terima kasih.
Ya, baik. Hadirin sekalian, demikian seluruh rangkaian acara webinar Riset Metodologi and Approach 2021. Kami dari pihak Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Berkesempatan mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Institut Transformasi Sosial dan Pembangunan Wilayah University Tun Nusantara Malaysia, Center of Business Development UTHM, dan Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Berkesempatan sendiri. Marilah kita tutup bersama-sama acara ini dengan baca hamdalah. Amin. Semoga kegiatan pada hari ini bermanfaat bagi kita semua. Akhir kata, saya Sri Deti Ramdhani mengucapkan terima kasih, pamit undur diri. Selamat sore. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih banyak.
Terima kasih, Bu.
Ya, sama-sama Bapak Ibu semua, Bu Dani, terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Jumpa lagi, insyaAllah.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Ibu bisa sampaikan ucapan terima kasih kami pada Pak Dekan.
Oh iya, baik. Beliau sudah, nanti kami sampaikan. Baik, untuk sertifikat nanti ada link yang akan kami sharing. Bisa nanti dari, kalau untuk di program studi, nanti kita bisa share program studi, asalkan untuk mahasiswa sudah memberikan, sudah mengisi absen. Nanti akan kita share dengan menggunakan linknya. Nanti akan kami kirim segera seperti itu. Baik.
Untuk sertifikat itu dari Dr. Fauzia, Bu
Ya,
Dani ya.
Nanti misalkan nama linknya ya. Nanti bisa dilanjut begitu. Oke, baik. Izin les dulu, sudah selesai acaranya. Ya.
Terima kasih Dr. Fauzia.
Terima kasih, Ibu. Terima kasih, Pak University.
Ya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ya,
Ya, sama-sama.
Terima kasih semua.